The sky above Earth turned dark without warning. It was not clouds or storms, it was something else. Giant metal ships appeared, hanging above cities like silent watchers. People stopped in the streets. Phones stopped working. Satellites went quiet. Then the first city vanished in a blink. Beijing was erased by a flash of white. No smoke, no fire, just gone. People screamed. Military scrambled. Earth tried to respond. But it was already too late. The enemy didn't talk. They didn't demand anything. No threats, no messages. Just silent destruction. One by one, Earth's defenses failed. Fighters were crushed in the air. Missiles exploded before launch. Naval fleets disappeared under the waves. A single name whispered from captured enemy tech, Valari Dominion. The Valari were not from this galaxy. They were tall, humanoid, with shining skin like polished stone. Their eyes glowed faint purple, and they wore armor that moved like silk but struck like steel. Their technology was smooth and quiet. They didn't shout. They didn't celebrate. They simply conquered. Within one Earth week, they controlled half the planet. No nukes had been fired. No real battle had taken place. Humanity had simply lost. In the ruins of old Berlin, one human, a field medic named Joel Carter, was pulling survivors from rubble. He didn't wear a uniform anymore, just mud, blood, and broken bones. He hadn't slept in 3 days. Around him, machines floated through the sky, scanning, searching. Drones that whispered softly in alien code. Joel didn't run, he didn't hide. He was saving who he could. Old, young, anyone. He was there when the Valari patrol spotted him. 4 of them, walking like ghosts through smoke. He dropped his makeshift stretcher and raised his hands slowly. The Valari leader stepped forward. A woman, or at least shaped like one. Her armor shimmered silver blue, and her face was partly uncovered, sharp, elegant, cruel. Her name came from a symbol flashing on her collar. Commander Yurakai. She stared at Joel, her glowing eyes narrowing as if confused. She did not speak, but she didn't shoot either. One of her soldiers raised a weapon. Joel didn't move. His eyes were sunken, exhausted, dead inside. He was ready to die. But then something strange happened. Yurakai raised her hand. The soldier paused. She stepped closer, scanning Joel's face with a thin beam of violet light. Then she spoke quietly, her voice smooth like cold water. "You are not afraid." "Why?" Joel answered, his throat dry. "Because fear stopped helping. 5 days ago." She stared at him a moment longer, then pointed at the injured girl behind him, barely 12, legs crushed. "You waste your life for others." "Why?" Joel wiped dust from his cheek. "Because someone has to." Yurakai said nothing. Her eyes moved to the child. Then she turned to her soldiers and spoke in their language, sharp sounds, layered tones. The soldiers hesitated, then backed away. She looked back at Joel and took a step forward. Without warning, she reached out and pressed 2 fingers against the side of his neck. A small burn seared into his skin. He gasped, stumbling back. The pain was real but brief. When he touched the spot, it was warm and smooth, marked. She had branded him. "No one must know," she said. "Not your people, not mine." Before Joel could speak, she turned and vanished with her unit. No trace left behind. Just silence. And the mark. The next morning, Joel woke inside a shelter. The injured girl was sleeping beside him alive. Her wounds were gone. Not bandaged, healed, perfectly, no scars. No pain. The people around him whispered. They had seen drones leave during the night. They didn't attack. They had left supplies. Joel touched his neck again. The mark still burned softly. He didn't know what it meant. He didn't know why she spared him. He didn't even know if he had just been used. But he remembered her words clearly. No one Must know. That day, Joel left the shelter without a word. He avoided other survivors. He didn't want questions. The Velari were still attacking elsewhere, but not here. Not where he walked. Wherever he went, their drones didn't come. Or if they did, they turned away. People began to notice. Some called him lucky, some called him cursed. But Joel said nothing. He didn't understand it either. He just kept moving, helping where he could, avoiding cities, avoiding the Velari. But they didn't avoid him. One night, near the edge of the destroyed city of Prague, he felt a shimmer in the air. A presence. And then he saw her again, Yurakai, standing alone in the shadows. Her glowing eyes fixed on him like she had been watching all along. She didn't smile. She didn't threaten. She only said 4 quiet words. They are watching you. Joel didn't understand. Who? She looked up toward the sky. Those above me. Then she vanished again into the smoke. And Joel felt a chill deeper than Wardot, because now he understood something terrible. He wasn't just marked. He was chosen. Asterisk Joel walked through the ruins like a ghost. He didn't feel like a man anymore. He wasn't hunted. He wasn't protected. He was simply watched. The mark on his neck still glowed faintly at night, like a small ember refusing to die. Every time he tried to forget her face, Yurakai's eyes returned. That cold, silent stare. That whisper, "They are watching you." He couldn't sleep properly. He couldn't stay in one place long. The Velari were destroying cities, but wherever he went, they avoided him. In a broken village outside Vienna, Joel found a group of refugees. They were sick. Water was poisoned. A disease was spreading. Joel stayed and helped, boiling rainwater, making crude medicine, wrapping wounds. He didn't ask for thanks. On the 3rd night, the sickness got worse. One child began coughing blood. Joel panicked. He ran outside and screamed at the sky, at nothing, at everything. "If you're watching, help them. You marked me. So do something." Silence. No answer. Just wind and broken walls. Joel turned and walked back inside. But when he reached the door, he froze. The girl was no longer coughing. She was breathing. Softly, her skin clean, color returned to her face. Her mother was crying with joy. Joel didn't do that. He knew it. Someone else had. The same thing happened the next day. The injured were healed while Joel slept. One man who couldn't walk stood and left the village at sunrise completely cured. The villagers thought it was a miracle. But Joel knew better. He was being used. He left that night. No goodbye. No thanks. Just his backpack and the mark on his neck. He needed answers. He needed to find her again. He headed toward the Velari-controlled zones. Everyone else ran from. Then Joel walked toward them. He crossed shattered highways and burned forests. He saw drones fly past without scanning him. In one area near Zurich, a patrol even nodded at him before vanishing into the mist. He kept walking until he reached what used to be a human military base. Now it was something else. A Velari fortress, quiet, glowing, guarded by machines that floated instead of walked. Joel stood at the edge, heart pounding, waiting to be vaporized. Nothing happened. The gates opened. He stepped inside. It was cold. Smooth walls, humming floors, soft lights. Alien sounds echoed in the distance. He didn't know where to go until a voice whispered from above, "You were not told to come." Joel looked up and saw her. Yurakai was standing on a ledge above him, arms folded, expression unreadable. She didn't come down. She just stared. "I didn't come for orders," Joel said. "I came for truth." She tilted her head. "Truth is dangerous." "So is silence," Joel replied. There was a pause. Then the floor shifted. A platform rose, and Joel was lifted up until he stood a few feet from her. For the first time, he saw her without armor. She wore a thin black suit that shimmered like oil. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her eyes were too sharp, her skin too smooth. "You are not a soldier," she said. "No," Joel answered. "You are not a threat. Then why mark me?" She didn't answer. She turned and walked down a hall. Joel followed. They passed strange rooms filled with light, with symbols, with machines that whispered in languages Earth had never heard. Then she stopped at a door. It slid open without sound. Inside was a map of Earth. Red lights covered most of it. Blue lights flickered in a few places. Yurakai pointed to the blue lights. "These are zones where your kind is resisting." Joel stepped closer. "And the red ones? Those we already control." He stared at the map. "So you're winning." Yurakai looked at him sharply. "No, we are measuring." He turned to her. "Measuring what?" She walked around the table slowly. "Human potential." Joel's voice dropped. "This is a test?" "Not a test," she said. "An observation. Your species interests certain ones, above me." Joel stepped back. "And I'm what, an example?" "You were marked so you could be studied, so you could move freely." Joel's hands clenched. "So I'm not human to you, I'm an experiment." "No," she said softly. "You are more," he frowned. "Then why tell me not to speak of it?" She paused. Then, with a voice almost human, almost broken, she whispered, "Because if they find out I helped you, I will be erased." Joel stared. Something in her voice made his heart freeze. She wasn't lying. She was afraid. He realized something deeper than she wasn't just watching him. She was protecting him. "You're risking everything," he said. "I already have," she replied. Then the lights changed. A sound echoed through the base. She looked up sharply. "They know you are here." Joel stepped back. "What happens now?" She looked at him with eyes full of quiet fire. "You run. And you forget me." But Joel didn't want to run. Not now. Not after seeing the truth. Not after hearing what she risked. Because now he was part of something much bigger. And he couldn't go back to hiding. Joel ran through the forest as dawn broke. Trees blurred past him. Branches scratched his arms. The mark on his neck pulsed like a living thing. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. He knew what was behind him. The Valari had found out. Not about him, but about her. About what she did. About how she helped a human. That meant she was now the target. And somehow he had become the proof. Drones scanned from above. He dropped low, covered himself with mud and leaves. The scanners passed. For now, they hadn't located him. But that would change. They always found what they wanted. He thought about what Yurakai had said. "They know you are here." She had warned him. She had saved him, twice, but why? Why him? He wasn't special. He wasn't a soldier or scientist. He had no power. Just tired hands and an aching soul. And yet she had risked being erased to keep him alive. Joel moved again, slipping into an old maintenance tunnel. The lights didn't work. The air was cold. Rats scattered at his footsteps. He walked for hours. No food, no water. Just one question turning in his mind. Why was he chosen? He reached an exit hatch covered in vines, pushed it open slowly. Sunlight poured through. On the other side was a destroyed transport station. Smoke still drifted from broken concrete. And near the center stood something strange. A single Valari drone damaged, sparking, unmoving. It wasn't scanning. It wasn't patrolling. It was waiting. Joel approached carefully. The drone beeped twice and opened a small compartment. Inside was a black cube. It glowed faintly and projected an image Mitter Yurakae's face. Not live, a recording. "If this finds you, it means I am gone," her voice said. "They came for me. I delayed them. But my fate is sealed." Joel's chest tightened. He held his breath as the message continued. "You were not chosen for your strength. You were chosen for your choices. The ones you made when no one was watching. When there was no reward. That is what frightened them." The image flickered, then returned. They fear the quiet ones. The healers, the selfless. You confuse them. You do not obey patterns. Joel sat down, still staring. They will now see you as an anomaly, she said. They will try to erase you, like me. Joel closed his eyes. She was gone. And now he was alone. More alone than ever before. But the cube wasn't finished. There's a place deep underground. Sector 912. Old Earth territory. Abandoned. Go there. If you survive the path, you may find others like you. The message ended. The cube powered down. The drone collapsed. Joel sat in silence for a long time. Wind moved through the ruins. A child cried in the distance. Somewhere a building crumbled. He stood up. He had a direction now. Sector 912. He didn't know what was there. Maybe nothing, maybe a trap. Maybe the last hope for something human. But he couldn't ignore her words. She had trusted him enough to send this message. Even knowing it might cost her everything. He moved fast, traveling by night, hiding by day. He avoided cities, avoided anything that hummed. The Valari tech was everywhere now. They weren't just invading, they were changing the planet. Machines grew from the ground like roots. Trees blinked with lights. Rivers buzzed with energy. Earth was being rewritten. Joel reached the edge of an old tunnel network after 4 days. The mark on his neck burned when he got close. That meant something was down there. Something important. He entered, flashlight weak. The tunnels were deep. Endless, covered in writing, not human. Symbols that shifted when he looked too long. He pushed deeper, through rusted doors and humming walls. Strange sounds echoed. A low thumping. A quiet voice. Whispers from machines. Then he heard footsteps. Joel froze. No flashlight, just silence. Then more steps, closer, deliberate. He reached for a pipe, ready to fight. But from the darkness came a voice. You're the marked one. Joel stayed quiet. A shape stepped forward. Human, female. Dirty face, wild hair, eyes full of fear and fire. She wasn't alone. 3 others came behind her. A boy barely 16, a man missing an arm, and an old woman with tech wired into her skull. Who are you? Joel asked. The woman stepped closer. Survivors, experiments, ghosts. Joel felt the air shift. You got her message? They nodded. The woman pointed to his neck. You're the last one. The final subject. Joel blinked. Subject? The woman leaned in. She didn't mark you to protect you. She marked you to awaken you. Joel's heart pounded. Awaken me to what? To what you are becoming. Behind her, a machine lit up. Symbols changed. Lights shifted. The tunnel groaned. Something was happening. Something alive. Something ancient and waiting. And for the first time, Joel realized this war wasn't about territory. It was about evolution. Joel stood at the center of the chamber. The walls weren't made of stone or metal. They pulsed like skin, warm and glowing with shifting lines. It was not a human place, and yet it responded to him. It opened only when he touched it. The others had waited years for this moment. The woman who first spoke to him stepped closer. Her name was Mira. She had been marked too, but in a different way. Her eyes shimmered gold when the machines were near. She explained slowly. This was a listening station. Valari tech, abandoned early in the war. They used it to study Earth's energy. They left it when they found something they couldn't understand. Joel looked at the shifting patterns on the walls. What did they find? Myra's voice lowered. Us. She led him through a corridor where light followed their footsteps. The others trailed behind silently. The boy, Aaron, walked with wide eyes. The old woman, Ilsa, whispered to herself in code. The man with one arm, Bren, carried a rifle made from human and alien parts. They weren't a team. They were survivors. Forced together, Mira opened another room. Inside was a sphere, hovering silently. It had no wires, no controls. Yet it turned slowly toward Joel. The glow inside changed from red to blue. It recognizes you, Mira said. That mark on your neck, it's not just a tracker, it's a key. Joel stared at the sphere. A key to what? To whatever. Scared the Valari enough to abandon this place. The others watched as the sphere floated down, hovering just above Joel's chest. His mark pulsed brighter. Then, with a sudden flash, the sphere shot upward and burst open. Light spilled into the room. It formed a holographic image Earth, but altered. Strange patterns glowed across continents. Energy lines connecting mountains. Rivers, old cities. Joel looked at Mira, confused. What is that? She answered softly. The real Earth, the one they didn't expect, the one even we don't understand. Joel stepped forward. As he did, new images appeared: Valari ships, battles, destruction. But then another image flickered on screen. It was Yurakai, not a recording. A live feed. She was imprisoned, bound by glowing chains, suspended in a circular chamber. Her face was bruised. Her voice was silent. But her eyes were still locked forward, unbroken. Joel clenched his fists. Where is she? Mira watched the image closely. She's still alive. That's somewhere inside the high orbit ring above Earth. If they're keeping her alive, she still matters. Joel stepped back from the light. We have to reach her. Bren shook his head. It's suicide. No human has ever gotten near their orbital rings. They didn't have the mark, Joel replied. Mira didn't argue. She just studied Joel. You're changing. Joel looked at her sharply. What do you mean? Your eyes, she said. They're starting to glow just slightly. Like theirs. He stepped to a mirror. It was faint, but she was right. His irises shimmered with a soft violet hue. Just like Yurakai's, just like the Valari. They didn't just mark you, Mira said. They started something in you. Maybe something they don't even understand. Joel didn't know whether to be afraid or grateful. All he knew was one thing: he couldn't let her die for helping him. We go tonight, he said. Help me reach the ring. Ilsa stepped forward, her metal implants blinking. The station here, it still has launch codes. If the ship still exists, we can access it. Joel turned to her. You've been preparing for this? For years, she whispered. We just never had the one it would follow. The sphere rose again. Its pieces reformed and became a map showing an underground hangar not far from the base. A ship was buried there, half Valari, half Earth tech. A hybrid. It had waited all this time for someone who could activate it. And now it had Joel. They left at night. Slipped through the tunnels. Machines stirred above, but none followed. The mark on Joel's neck kept them away. It was more than just a key. Now, it was a warning. He is not to be touched. They reached the hangar door. Joel placed his hand on the pad. The door groaned, ancient gears clicking, lights coming to life. Inside was the ship, sleek, silent, shaped like a blade in the dark. Its engines whispered in a forgotten language. Joel stepped inside. The ship lit up, responded instantly. The others followed. The cockpit opened. Mira took the co-pilot's seat. Ilsa began hacking into old systems. Bren kept his weapon close. Aaron stared at everything with awe. As the ship rose into the tunnel, Joel's heart raced. He didn't know if he was still human. He didn't know if he was leading them to death. But he knew one thing for certain: she had saved him. Now he was going to save her. And whatever was waiting above Earth was about to meet the human they failed to understand. The ship broke through the clouds like a silent arrow. No engine roared. No flame burned. It cut through the sky without a trace. The stars above grew clearer. Earth shrank behind them. And the high orbit ring the Valari fortress came into view. It was massive, stretching across the dark like a crown made of crystal and steel. It spun slowly, gathering energy from Earth's atmosphere and space itself. It wasn't just a station, it was alive. Built to watch, to judge, to destroy. Inside the cockpit, Joel sat at the controls. He wasn't trained to fly. But the ship moved with him. It responded to his thoughts, to his focus. The mark on his neck pulsed brighter now, glowing like fire. Under his skin. The others watched in silence. Ilsa sat beside a control panel, whispering codes. Her metal implants blinked in rhythm with the ship. Mira stared at the station ahead, her hand on Joel's shoulder. Aaron and Bren were behind them, checking weapons and shielding packs. The boy trembled. Bren didn't. Joel didn't speak. His heart beat slow, not with fear but with something else. Something stronger. Something rising in his blood, like electricity waking up in his veins. "They'll detect us," Mira said. "They already have," Joel replied. On the edge of the orbit ring, lights flashed. Drones swarmed like hornets. Defense lines charged. But something strange happened. As the drones approached, they stopped, hovered, then turned and scattered. The ring had seen him, and it was confused. The defense systems lowered. A single corridor opened ahead, like a wound in the fortress. Joel guided the ship inside. They moved through dark tunnels made of black stone and silver nerves. Lights followed them, analyzing every inch. But no alarm was raised. "They're letting us in," Bren muttered. "No," Joel said. "They're watching me. They want to see what I'll do." The ship reached a docking point. The hatch opened. Cold air rushed in. Joel stepped out first, his boots landing on the smooth floor. It vibrated faintly under his feet, like it was breathing. The others followed, weapons ready. The corridors were empty. No guards, no noise. Only that low hum, like the ring was alive and listening. They followed a glowing path, lit by the mark on Joel's neck. It led them to a round chamber, massive and hollow. At the center, floating in a cage of energy, was Yurakai. She was unconscious, pale, her armor cracked. But she was alive. Joel ran to her, but the energy field stopped him. It hissed when he touched it, sending sparks through his arm. Mira scanned the field and frowned. "This isn't standard Valari tech. It's older. It's biological." Joel stepped back, thinking. The mark on his neck began to burn. Then he remembered her words, "You are becoming." He closed his eyes and placed his hand on the energy field again. This time he didn't push. He let the burn flow through him. The glow from his neck traveled down his arm, into his hand, and into the field. The cage cracked, then shattered. Yurakai fell forward right into his arms. She opened her eyes slowly. "You came." Joel held her steady. "You saved me first." The moment she touched him, the walls lit up. Symbols flashed. The whole chamber reacted. Alarms finally began to sound. The ring was awake. But it wasn't angry. It was uncertain. Ilsa's voice broke through. "Something's happening. You triggered something deep in the system. They know I'm not just human anymore." Joel said. Yurakai sat up, weak but aware. "You're the first hybrid. Not by blood. By choice." That's what they feared. Mira stepped back. "What do we do now?" Yurakai stood, swaying. Her voice regained its strength. "There's a control core at the center of the ring. If we reach it, we can either shut it down or rewrite it." Joel didn't hesitate. "Then let's finish this." They moved fast through glowing corridors. Drones watched but didn't attack. Some even turned away. Doors opened without commands. The ring didn't resist. It was watching Joel like a confused animal watching its reflection. At the heart of the ring, they found the control core. A pulsing sphere surrounded by flowing tendrils. It wasn't made of metal. It was living code. It was the Valari's final eye. The one that judged who lived and who died. Joel stepped forward. The others stayed behind. He placed both hands on the core. The mark on his neck flared white-hot. The core reacted. And then, it spoke. Not with words, with images. With feelings. With memories not his own. He saw the Valari's first contact with Earth. He saw how they studied humanity. How they feared chaos, kindness, emotion. How they couldn't understand someone who would die to save a stranger. He saw how Kai had broken orders to mark him, and he saw how that mark wasn't just to protect him, but to infect the system. With something alien compassion, Joel pushed his thoughts into the core. He sent every moment he had lived since the war began, every life he saved, every tear, every sacrifice, every time he had chosen to help instead of run. The core began to crack. The ring trembled. All across the Earth, Valari drones paused. For the first time, they felt something they were never programmed to feel. Asterisk. The core screamed. Not with sound, but with light. It fractured from within, veins of blue lightning racing across its surface. The entire ring began to pulse. Lights blinked in patterns. Systems rewrote themselves in real time. The floor beneath Joel trembled like a heartbeat skipping out of rhythm. Kai grabbed his shoulder, pulling him back. You're breaking it. If you keep pushing, it will collapse. Joel didn't move. His hands were still on the core. The mark on his neck glowed brighter than ever, pure white now, like a star burning inside him. He wasn't just sending memories anymore. He was giving the core something it had never processed. A choice. He turned slightly to look at her. You marked me, but I made my own decisions. I chose this. Kai looked into his glowing eyes. You don't understand what you are becoming. Joel smiled weakly. I don't need to. I just know who I am. Then he turned back to the core. Sent it the image of a child he carried from rubble. A dying soldier he held as he bled out. The laughter of survivors sharing stolen bread. A mother hugging her son after being reunited in a war zone. Not just pain, not just hope. Humanity in its rawest, most honest form. The Valari feared chaos, but they never understood how chaos could create beauty. The core pulsed once, then it stopped. All light across the station dimmed. Every drone orbiting Earth fell still. The war stopped. The control room went silent. The hum of energy vanished. Bren raised his weapon instinctively. Mira stepped forward, scanning. Ilsa whispered something, even she didn't understand. Aaron clung to a support rail, trembling. Joel collapsed to his knees, exhausted. The mark on his neck dimmed to a faint glow, now settled deep under the skin. Like it belonged there. Kai moved quickly, holding him upright. You didn't shut it down, she whispered. You changed it. The others gathered around. The room brightened again, this time with warm, steady light. The ring had accepted the change. It was no longer just a machine. It had learned. And it had chosen not to kill. Joel slowly stood, supported by Kai. What happens now? He asked. She looked around, almost in disbelief. The ring is quiet. It's waiting, listening. The Dominion won't understand this. They'll come to take it back, Mira warned. Joel turned to her. Then we show them something new. Ilsa nodded slowly. We broadcast. Not just to humans, not just to the Valari, but to everyone who listens. Aaron stepped forward. Even if we don't win? Joel placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. We don't need to win. We need to be seen. Back on Earth, something changed. The drones that once patrolled the skies dropped their weapons. The machines that grew into buildings shut down. Valari forces retreated confused. Commanders argued. Orders no longer made sense. The system they relied on had changed. The Valari network now carried something new in its code: mercy. In the days that followed, Joel and the others stayed aboard the ring. It became neutral ground, neither fully human nor fully Valari. Refugees were brought up, wounded healed, messages exchanged. The first peace contact was made not by generals, but by engineers and medics. Joel never returned to Earth the same. He was changed physically, emotionally, even spiritually. The mark stayed with him, but it no longer burned. It pulsed gently, a reminder of what had been risked. Yurakai stayed too. She could never return to the Valari. Her name was erased, her rank stripped, but she didn't care. She watched Earth from above and called it beautiful, even in its brokenness. One night, she sat with Joel on the edge of the station, staring down at the glowing blue planet below. Neither spoke for a while. The silence between them was peaceful. Finally, she said, "They still fear what you are." Joel didn't look away from the Earth. "They should." "Why?" she asked. "Because I'm human," he said. "And I don't give up." She smiled, truly smiled for the first time. "Then perhaps there is hope." He looked at her. "You marked me once. Would you do it again?" She leaned closer, eyes shining softly. "You marked yourself the moment you chose to stand up." They sat together as stars drifted past. No flags were raised. No victory speeches were made. But a war had ended. Not with fire. Not with death. With one man, one mark, and one truth too powerful to erase. Compassion is contagious, and it cannot be controlled.